I've been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. She's amazing and we're super compatible in a lot of ways. She's an outspoken vegan and she made it very clear from the start of our relationship that it was important to her any potential partner had the same cruelty-free values. Me, already being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My girlfriend was proud of me for going cruelty-free and everything seemed well. Then there is my cat Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She's such a sweet and cuddly cat. However, my girlfriend was always a little apprehensive around her and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while, we sort of made an agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine, so Mittens never really came up again in the conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff. My girlfriend and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic and started talking about moving our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my girlfriend sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with this next phase of our relationship, she didn't see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed that owning a cat is unconscionable for vegans because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens, and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying the reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along the same lines. My girlfriend got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my girlfriend I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals. Then I went home and snuggled with Mittens. Although the mood soured a bit when my GF sent me a link to the Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. It pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ended because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my girlfriend is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in the vegan circles and I probably would not have gotten a cat if I had been vegan at the time. But I have Mittens now and she deserves to eat. I've talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends and they all think that my girlfriend has lost her mind. Some have suggested it's not about Mittens and my girlfriend just wants an excuse to end it. They probably don't understand why I haven't broken up yet, but I care about my girlfriend so much. I'd hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. Where do I even go from here? I had a table today with a couple and the husband was introducing his baby mama to his family. He was military and I guess he's been busy on his time away. The couple also had a brand new baby that they were showing off. Nice folks. They were with the dude's mom, sister, and aunt. They ordered a baked chicken nacho to start, which I promptly put in. Mind you, I was captain on a party of 25 and finishing them up and the host told them they would have a few minute wait at the table. They were cool at first. Once the food came out, the complaints started. I checked on them multiple times in passing and nobody asked for anything. They, of freaking course, asked for waters for the table and also each had a beer or mocktail. Nobody asked for refills or to order another. They didn't have a single auto refill drink, but okay, maybe I wasn't being super attentive. Anyway, the mom goes to the front and has a hissy fit and my manager deals with her, but she pulls me aside to say that she was watching me and that she knows I did my best. Even if the food was kind of late behind our party of 25 regulars. She's gonna comp the cheesecake slices and I shouldn't worry about them. I go and drop the discounted check and I hear the Beyonce say, "I'm gonna order cheesecake for all of us and get the whole bill taken care of." The sister and mom both cringe visibly and make eye contact with me. I drop the free $50 of cheesecake and bring the fussy toddler a free milk just to show that I care. The aunt stares at the check and then violently snatches it. I watch the new baby mama die internally. I can only imagine she's been dealing with this effing witch for hours or days and is rapidly approaching her limit. She's dressed like a crunchy hippie mom and is super sweet whenever I come back to the table. She isn't a problem and I imagine she's served before. You'll see why. Not 5 minutes after the $40 check is dropped, my manager finds me and we go to a posy to look at the ring times and such. She wants to make sure I did my best before she sticks up for me. Everything checks out and she decides it isn't worth the trouble and comps the entire bill. They seem satisfied and leave. Finally. On the way out, they called me slow and shiftless and say I should work somewhere else. I laughed in response because F them and I wished them a lovely evening. I knew I wasn't going to get tipped and just start to bust the table once they were out of view. I found a 20 by where the sister was sitting and a crisp 50 in the middle of the table. I'm betting the dude left that. As I finish up, I see the baby mama speaking to the manager who gestures toward me and I walk over. She smashes a crumbled 100 into my hand and whispers, "I'm so sorry, I know you did your best with them." Not gonna lie y'all, I almost cried. I simply nodded and said thanks so much and that I hope to see her and her baby again. She thanked me again and walked off. I imagine the aunt thinks that she did something by scoring free food for everyone, but all she did was alienate her nephew and her sister further. Me and 4 other girls have been best friends since middle school and we're all 17. When we were freshmen, we got matching necklaces that say besties for the resties on them. One of us will say besties and the others will respond for the resties. One of my best friends is named Alexa. She was one of the 4 and she did everything with us. A few weeks ago, out of the blue, she decided she wants to be called Alex and to be a guy now. And also to use he, him pronouns. They're basically a totally different person now. I feel like my best friend has died. None of us even recognize this new person and all of us are kind of in mourning. We've stopped hanging out with them pretty much. It's not the same now. It's really depressing. Today, they tried to get the other 4 of us to do the same. They kept saying besties over and over, trying to get us to do the response, but no one was doing it and it was just a tense, depressing silence. Then they started crying and it made me want to cry. I feel like my best friend is dead and I know the others are very upset too. We won't ever get our friend back. Alexa is dead. We can't go shopping together, can't watch the same movies now, can't have sleepovers, can't get our nails done, can't do each other's hair, can't bake cupcakes now. There's literally nothing left to do together that wouldn't be incredibly uncomfortable. Am I the asshole for being unable to complete the phrase?
Am I the asshole for getting a teacher fired when she wouldn't let my daughter eat in class? My 47 female, daughter 13 female, is type 1 diabetic and sometimes hypoglycemic. Due to this, we set up a 504 that says she can eat a snack in class whenever needed along with other accommodations. At one point, one of her new teachers denies her a snack while hypoglycemic. She nearly passes out, but in the next class she's in, the teacher has enough common sense to let her eat a snack before passing out at school. When she told me, I immediately called the teacher. When she called back, I lectured her and told her that she needed to let my daughter eat a snack when needed. She says it's not allowed, but I tell her that due to my daughter's 504, she's legally required to give my daughter an exception. Am I the asshole for getting a teacher fired when she wouldn't let my daughter eat in class? I said due to my daughter's 504, she's legally required to give my daughter an exception to that rule. Before hanging up, I tell her that if she does this again, I'll contact the principal and let him know. Keep in mind, I also recorded this call on my husband's phone, by the way. A month goes by and the same thing happens again, and I request a meeting with the principal and my husband plays back the call between me and the teacher. I tell him she's done this twice and needs to have a talk with her. Turns out, he actually fired her for ADA violations. I know this because I ran into her at Publix. She told me I got her fired over some stupid snacks and I need to stop raising an entitled brat. I walked away. Am I the asshole for making my daughter-in-law cry? My son and daughter-in-law had their twins last year. They didn't want to put them in daycare and asked me if I could watch them. I've been doing childcare my whole adult life as a nanny, and at the time I had a well-paying nanny job. My son and daughter-in-law couldn't pay me as much, but I didn't mind as they are my grandchildren and I love them. I would do it for free, but I do have bills. I clarified multiple times that this was going to be permanent and I was quitting a good job for this and I didn't want to have to scramble last minute. They swore it would be until they were 3. I had so much fun watching them and they're now 18 months old. I started teaching them colors and ABCs and we also go to playgroups. My son and daughter-in-law told me last week they feel more comfortable with daycare. Am I the asshole for making my daughter-in-law cry? My son and daughter-in-law sat me down last week saying they'd be more comfortable with daycare. After doing research, they feel it would be the best now. In fact, they already found one and gave me 2 weeks notice. I was upset. They promised me 3 years of work and now I have to scramble to find a new job that'll pay as well as my last one. I said all of this and they said it wasn't fair for me to expect them to keep to that. I pointed out what this would do financially to me and they said they had to think of themselves. They're paying the daycare more, but it's worth it. I said I don't know how I'll pay my bills, including my son's student loans that I pay. I left and my son said his wife cried and said I shouldn't have guilted them. He said bringing up the money was manipulative. Am I the asshole for putting my wife on a budget? We got married this past March. I'm 25 and she's 23, and for her it's been a spending spree ever since. Hundreds at a time on clothes, accessories, makeup, trinkets, interior design, just spending all the time. I make an okay living and the only reason we aren't underwater is because I don't buy anything. After running up $550 on her coat, I finally decided enough was enough. I made a spreadsheet, explained it to her, and wanted to handle things like adults. She actually acted like she was dozing off. I thought this was fair. She doesn't think the budget benefits us both and she thinks I'm dominating and constricting her.
A few years ago, I was invited by a group of people that I kind of sort of knew to go see one of my favorite bands play at a club. And I was like, oh, thank you guys. That is so nice. And we drove an hour to get to this club. Once we got there, we realized that like half of our group didn't bring IDs with them, so they couldn't get into the club. And on the outside, I was like, oh no. And on the inside, I was hardcore judging them for being adult people who don't carry IDs with them. And the girls who didn't bring their IDs said, what should we do now? Should we all just go home? And I didn't want to go home after driving that long. And I said, well, we kind of wanted to see the band. Would you guys be cool with maybe like going to see a movie or going to get dinner? And that way we could at least see part of their set and then we could leave early with you guys. And the one Gryffindor in the group interrupted me and she said, no. If they don't get to see the band, then none of us get to see the band. And I was like, this is not the last 20 minutes of a Disney movie. We don't all have to miss the band together. But Gryffindor really stuck to it. She handed the girls the keys and she was like, you guys run home, get your IDs, come back here. I've been sitting crisscross applesauce for a long time and my feet hurt. Okay. So the girls run home to grab their IDs. We had to wait in line at the club for a really long time. We finally get to the front and our friends aren't back yet. And I was like, that's fine. Like, I didn't even think that was going to be a problem. But Gryffindor said to the bouncer, we can't go in yet. We're waiting for our friends. And so the bouncer just had us stand off to the side in the cold. And we just stood outside the venue listening to the band play from the outside. And all I could think was, we have cell phones. This is what cell phones are for, situations like these. And I just like, having friends is too hard. I think I'm too selfish for it.